Welcome to the shed. I'm Syd, Macky's on the camera, and today we are going to be teaching my brother-in-law Bowden how to build a bike.
Woo!
Okay, so Bo wanted a bike, and we were willing to sell him one of our old bikes on the condition that he do this video with us so that we can all learn more about building bikes, because I will be the teacher this time. Bo will be the learnee.
Yes.
Macky claims he's gonna be silent, but we'll see how that goes. To start, we thought we would go through all the things you need to build a bike, or all the parts of the bike that you need. And they're all out here on the table, and we wanted to see if you can name them.
Okay. All right, let's go right to left here. I think this is the crank for no. All right, this is the rear shock. I think it goes somewhere between the rear triangle and the frame and makes it squishy. This is, I cheated, I asked Macky before the video started. This is the crank.
It could be a crank arm.
This is a crank
Well,
arm.
this is the crank arm. I guess the whole thing's the crank.
This is front gear.
Chain ring.
Chain ring. There used to be more of those in old bikes. Now there's just one. I have no idea what this is. Maybe something about keeping the chain in place.
Yep, so that's your chain guide.
Beautiful. This is through axle. Got that one. Different sizes. This is a smaller one. There's some that are bigger for downhill bikes. Is that right? No, they're all the same size.
Well, they used to all be smaller. Now they're all generally about that size for the rear.
Bottle cage. Got that one. Chain. Got this one. Rubber mallet. Always an important feature of every bike. Rips. No, I don't know what these are. Some little bearing things.
So those are gonna be your headset bearings. So those are gonna go around the fork and into the headset.
That makes sense. Rear derailleur. Cable for my rear derailleur.
So it's actually the housing for the cable.
Housing for the cable, so the cable goes on the inside of this.
Yeah, the cable is not, I will give you a
Super
new cable,
wiry
so it's
and
not
little.
there. Yeah.
Cool. I have no idea what this is.
You wanna guess?
It looks a little bit like those things that go to attach the rear triangle to the frame, but I don't.
So this is the bottom bracket. That's gonna go in there.
Ah.
And that's where your
My cranks
go in that.
In this. This goes in this.
Yes.
All right. This is a brake.
Bingo.
It is a hydraulic brake. So it's got some liquid in there. Old bikes didn't have those.
Yes.
Old bikes had wires in there and some brake pads. This is a brake.
Lever.
Also, there's some liquid in there that moves back and forth to create the brake. This is a variety of things, but it's my fork. Soon to be my fork.
And your handlebars.
And my handlebars. And some more brakes, levers, and a shifter, and a dropper post lever. And, oh, these are two different sizes. That's interesting. Okay, and that's another through axle. And this is a shock.
What are we missing?
Seat.
See, that's true. We are missing this.
Okay, but those are all here. We're missing wheels. Those are one of the most important pieces of a bike. And we have wheel. These are tubeless.
Yes. Correct.
Do you have different wheels for tubeless and tube full?
Most wheels are tubeless compatible.
Times have changed. Tubeless wheels, tires, spokes, disc brake.
Yeah, and half the internet just died because you touched the rotor.
Oh, you're not supposed to do that? All right.
It kills people on the internet. It doesn't actually hurt anything, but
Good to know. Cassette
nice.
tape.
You did pretty well for not having really done any bike maintenance. Should we start with the fork or the bottom bracket?
Oh, I would like to start with the fork.
So all of these pieces were previously on this bike, which is why they are in a weird format. You know, if you get a fork, it doesn't come like this.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And the good news is we aren't gonna have to cut the fork. So if you need to know how to cut a fork, we'll put a link over there. There'll be a link over there.
So if you get a new fork, do you always cut it no matter what?
Pretty much, yeah.
And why do you cut it?
Because the steer tube is like so long. So otherwise you'd get impaled.
And you cut it to your height.
Right, yeah. So you put put it in and put your stem and spacers, that's what these are called, on there, measure it, and then you cut it. It's kind of an ordeal, we don't have to do it today. So if you want to grab the 4, I think you'll need a 5 mil and a 4, undo those.
Do they have numbers on them? It's a 6, this is a 5. So this is sized to Macky, so it's also sized to me because we're pretty much the same size.
Yep. And we're also going to need our headset bearings and some grease.
Interesting. Okay, we're taking this little thing out. Don't know what's in there. Just pop it off.
So those are all spacers.
That's a spacer.
And I'll just hold the handlebars because we're leaving the brakes connected because that saves us some time. We will have to connect the rear brake though, so you will get to learn how to do that next. These things.
What are they called?
Headset bearings.
Headset
the bottom
bearing.
one a headset bearing too? Mackie is nodding in the affirmative.
What's the headset then?
It's like this, I guess. So like these are the bearing cups, and then it's basically everything that makes your.
And you want a bearing so it smoothly moves.
So I usually would just put the grease in the top and the bottom there because I feel like that's easier.
Cool little grease thing. How much grease do I put?
Like a line all the way around, or is that too much? Mackie really is being silent. He's just letting me
Yeah, I don't like that.
lead you astray.
No, you're doing great. Man, I'm not good at putting grease on. So you need to, okay, so how many head gas?
Basically
how
with the
many head
headset,
bearings do we have?
everything gets right on my toe. Well done, well done. Everything gets kind of, I just feel like I use a lot of grease in the headset because things get sticky.
Sorry, I'm going slow here. Give me a brief walk down. We have 4 pieces, 4 headset bearings.
Well, 2 bearings.
2 bearings.
And then I don't know what these are called, like
A little
covers.
cap thing.
Widgets.
This one's gonna go on the bottom. So it's gonna go like this.
Yep.
Boop.
But we'll grease that first.
And we'll grease the bottom of this and the bottom of this. And then this one goes on the top.
Yeah.
And then this is like a little cap.
This goes there then? Or is it, I hate this part, I always put it upside down. Like that.
Okay.
Then it's all
That
a
one
cap.
goes bloop, right on top of it.
Okay. You'll want to sort of rub that around with your finger.
Can I just wipe it on this?
Yeah, go for it. That's
Right
what
next
the
to the
aprons
squirt.
are for.
Wonderful. And then on this as well. Is that enough?
Yeah, I think so.
Then I'm dropping this right here. Oh yeah.
And then you can either grease in there, which might be easiest, just put some on your finger and do that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and this is a really annoying thing to do by yourself, so
I can imagine.
we'll hold it, especially when the handlebars are tingling like this.
This one goes like this. Okay.
Nice.
Wow, that fits good. It's almost like it's meant for it. Like this, threads. Those aren't threads, but whatever. Going down.
Yeah, down. Because then it should sort of, sit in there like that.
Ooh, yeah, all greasy. Okay. And then this.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm good.
And it doesn't screw or anything. It just goes on there. We have 2 spacers. This is one. I think the lower one went on the bottom. I mean, the bigger one went on the
I
bottom.
mean, it depends a little bit on the fit of the bike. Do you think for him it's gonna be the same as it was for you? Okay, so we'll do.
We're brothers. This is the little spacer.
And there's your headset widget. You're gonna tighten that down, but you don't wanna crank on it a ton because that will actually prevent the whole thing from spinning. So stop there and let's see if it, sorry. That looks pretty good.
Okay, so you don't want to over tighten that top one because it'll prevent it from spinning. And then this amount of spin is something you're looking for. Nice. I would like it to be that easy to turn my handlebars. I'm not going to tighten these super hard.
So you can test your torque. You set it to 0 and then you push to 5.
Oh, wow, bro, that's all easy. Okay, I got a lot more to do. Oh, I was going the wrong direction. 2, 3, 4, 5. Go. Is there any surefire way to check if it's straight?
It'll be real obvious when we have the wheel on and you're standing over the bike.
Close 5.
Sometimes you don't really tell till you get the wheel on and you're riding it and you're like, oh crap, it's not straight. I think we should do the bottom bracket next. I admit I'm a little fuzzy on bottom brackets. These are the easy ones, the thread-in ones. They don't require a bearing press or anything. And one of those is gonna say left and one is gonna say right. Okay, here's something I learned recently. I used to just put the grease everywhere, but Mackie pointed out that if you just put a bunch of grease in one spot on something that's threaded, then when you thread it,
Oh, cool.
the grease goes everywhere. Exactly.
Right. So Macky just pointed out, there's this little tiny spacer right here. Have to put spacers to size this little through thing to the width of your bottom bracket.
Right, so you just need to check the specs on your bike before you go like full steam ahead with the bottom bracket. See if you need a spacer. You also need the correct size bottom bracket. So that's step 1. Step 2 is spacer in the right spot. Step 3 is grease.
Step 4, you put it in there and it just screws in. Oh, maybe it screws the other direction. That'd be cool.
He's smart, man.
I'm a plumber. What can I say?
So why do you think that is how that goes?
I'm sure there's a reason. I'm sure there's a good reason for it. Something about the way that you pedal not unscrewing it.
So this little spacer makes this tool the right size.
So I was going like this, railing into my frame. And Syd pointed out that I could just go like that. And then it wouldn't hit my frame.
I think we should do the shock next. I was thinking cranks, but I feel like it'd be easier to do the shock before we put the crank on. So how do you think this goes in?
Good work, good work.
Like this. Any spacers or washers or anything in that?
Nope. So since this shock came out of this bike and has been on this bike before, we don't have to deal with the correct spacers. If you were to buy a new shock, you need to make sure you have the right size. Grease these because they're a common creaking item.
They creak. So this just goes through this. Simple as that. Oh, yeah. So it goes in this way. Because it's got the threads over there. So I'm just going to put it in. It was a 5. How much do I tighten this one?
I think we'll do the torque settings on these.
It says 12 Newton meters. This is a different one than the last one though.
Yeah, because the little one is harder for the bigger things. So in this one, you actually set and then it does this little click thing.
So I'm going up, 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 up. Which side am I looking at?
Those numbers plus this. This is 1.6, 1.2, etc. So right now you're at 5. You're at just under 5. You're at 3 plus 1.6.
I now understand the Newton meter thing. It's set to 12, basically, Newton meters, which is what we need to tighten it to. And I'm gonna hear a nice satisfying click when I'm at the tightness I need.
There it is.
Damn, that is
It
pretty
is satisfying, right? Does that look like that's going through?
Yeah, there you go. I think that's cool. Okay.
No, it's fine.
Torque wrench set at 12 Newton meters. And we're gonna wait for a nice satisfying click. That was not it. There you go.
All right, so cranks are another place where you want to watch out for spacers. For this bike, we have a spacer on both the drive and the non-drive side spacer. So here you want to do a little bit on the threads and then a little bit along the...
These threads on the inside here. This is going in here. We have a spacer. It is...
Sometimes it's hard to get in.
Okay, cool. But it's okay if I push it a little bit.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's
I
interesting.
think it goes like that.
So this is a little seal, a little rubber sealy thing, and that's going to the outside. And they have to be exactly opposite of each other.
It's generally ideal.
That is generally, feels like probably the move. How do I tell if they're exactly opposite?
You can only be wrong in one way, basically,
Right.
which is all the way wrong.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then I turn it back like a quarter turn.
Okay, so we didn't get this thing in though. So that just pops down in there and then you do your pinch bolts. Pinch bolt spacer widget. I don't know, does it have a name?
It's the safety tab.
It's the safety tab.
It keeps your crank from falling off if your bolts come loose.
Is it really that little thing?
Yeah, like try pulling the crank off now.
Isn't that doing
But
that?
if this unscrews and your bolts come loose, it can't fall off. It'll get loose, but it won't fall off because that sticks in a little hole.
And I'm tightening this bad boy. Whoop. How much? A lot? A little, a medium amount. Each of these bolts should be evenly and equally tightened to 12 Newton meters.
Oh, that's actually pretty tight. Might be easier to get to actually with this too, with the ratchet.
12 to 14, should I set it to 13?
You have to go back and forth on them a couple times because that I remember.
I'm waiting for nice satisfying, oh, that's a click. Now this one. I really don't want to hit my frame here. Waiting for a nice satisfying click. Cool, I'm gonna go back to the other one. This one again. Cool, pretty good.
So this is your derailleur hanger. You want to pay attention to this little guy. It needs to go in front of that.
Bloop. This thing goes on the outside.
Yeah, no.
Goes on the inside.
I really like this because Syd's just looking at me seeing what I do. What does that do? Why does it matter where that is? It's what pushes against the B index screw.
I despise the B index screw.
Yes. Right now it's not touching the B index screw, so they can't be where it goes.
Does it go all the way like that? Oh, and then you do it like this. So I wasn't wrong, I just had to spin it all the way around.
Make sure I'm not misthreading that. Okay.
So loosen it a bit and then like let it twist.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha, like that.
Right, so that little thing that we can decide where to put it is like the stopper.
So excited to hear about the B whatever thing.
I'm not excited about that.
Forgot to put on the chain guide, and Macky just let us fall into this trap. But Syd's actually doing a great job just getting it on around the crank, the front cassette. Is that what it is, right? Bottom cassette.
Crank set. So the whole thing is the crank set, and this is the chain ring is our particular problem at the moment.
Could be called the bottom cassette though.
Front cassette might be more accurate because you have your
Head cassette.
We've taken the whole crank set out again. Now, Bo can put the chain guide on. Basically, a chain guide is another defense against dropping your chain, and nobody likes dropping their chain. However, I'd say probably since the last time you owned a nice bike, chains don't drop nearly as much as they used to.
Drop a lot.
This is a couple reasons why. One of that is narrow, wide chain rings. So if you look at this, like this one's fatter than that one, and the chain is also a narrow, wide chain. So you put it up, so they're just less likely to come off. And so this goes in what are called the ISGC. Some chain guides have like all three, but this one only has two.
One goes there, one goes there.
He is not dropping all the washers. This might be one of the more annoying tasks.
How about adjusting it within these little slots?
I think we have to wait to do that. Yeah, so now we can go ahead and put the
front cassette. Okay. Syd said you need to alternate because not like they loosen, but I guess you can tighten them more when you tighten the other one.
Is that always true for pinch bolts? Oh. Yeah. So anything that's pinching, which these ones are as well, you have to kind of go back and forth.
Cool, look at that. That like looks more like a bike, less like a chicken.
The next thing we're gonna do is brakes. Well, we're only doing one brake because luckily your front brake is already attached.
Right.
This is the caliper.
Caliper.
That is what attaches to the bike with these and that.
And this thing.
Yeah.
Cool. The wheels on the inside here, so the rotor is also there.
Yep, that's correct, but you gotta get that.
This thing is gonna fit in here somehow, some way.
So it has somewhere in there it says up. Jeez, I just almost walked right into that.
Up.
Up, yeah.
Up is also
But
forward.
it also means that side is up.
There's a bunch of little washers on here. Do they all go on the top?
I think it's a 4, or is it a 5? It's a 5. This is all internal brake housing, which is probably not something you had on your last bike.
Certainly was not. Very fun. Probably don't want to kink this. So fun, so satisfying.
Bo, you want to tell the people about your mountain bike experience?
I've been shredding since I was a little wee one. Actually, not really. I learned how to ride a bike when I was like 11 years old or something like that. It was pretty late. And then I went right into mountain bike racing. This was the same time Macky was beginning to mountain bike. So the whole family got kind of hyped on it. First bike I ever had was this little green one. Cruised around on that. And then I was like really super quite into mountain bike racing from like, I feel like 13 until like 15 or like 12 until 14, 15, sometime around then. Raced a bunch, did some national championships, had a great old time. And then in high school, kind of started mountain biking less, and now I'm back on it again. Did a race earlier this year with Syd.
Go, buddy, go!
I feel like I'm going pretty strong. I'm in a lot of pain.
Wow, buddy, nice job!
Yeah, there's gonna be more races coming in the future. Look out for me. National champion 2023. Get ready.
I forgot to talk about your unicycling career, Bo.
Oh yeah, I of course also around that time got quite into unicycling. 2 wheels was too easy, I needed to reduce it to 1. Shredded around on a unicycle for a while.
Unicycle, ukulele.
Realized that I actually really liked how a chain like amplifies the amount of force you put into a pedal, and then you go faster. And unicycles are just direct. 1 pedal, 1 wheel, you know? It's not very efficient. Okay, wait, let's break this down. This is my brake lever. That's the lever.
Don't do that. Gonna shoot brake fluid into your eyeballs.
Okay, cool, yep. Okay, so that's like pretty much one component.
Right.
If you bought some brakes, would you get this whole piece together?
Right, it comes in 2 pieces. The hose is generally connected to the caliper when you get it.
Yep.
When you buy brakes these days, the olive is already in there, but
Okay.
our olive is not in there yet. So we have, these are the little bits. We have olive and barb.
So if you bought brakes, you would have, it's like the Excalibur or something like this.
Caliper,
Caliper.
not a caliber.
Is connected to the brake hose. All right, there you go. That's one piece. The other piece is a little lever thing.
Lever.
Is the lever, and inside that there's some brake fluid, hydraulic fluid. And we wanted to connect the brake hose to the lever. And there's 2 components that are involved in that. Olive and Barb, who's this little thing in here. I can't get her out right now. And we basically made sure we put on this little protective component and the screw on the hose beforehand. And we slotted Olive in here or on the brake hose, doesn't matter. And then we use this fancy little tool to kind of smush Barb into the hose. And then we screwed them together, smushing Olive and creating a little seal.
So now we're gonna put the lever on, which it is, the cable doesn't want to cooperate right now, but you're gonna undo that. And then we're gonna use this little pokey widget.
Do I unscrew it all the way?
No, that's good. This is push to open. You push that. There we go. And now we can put it on without having to get to the end of your handlebars. For bleeding it, we're gonna put it straight like this so that it's level. Obviously that's not how you want to be riding, but you can do a lever bleed where you essentially just attach this little cup with fluid in it to the lever, and then you pump the lever and the air bubbles come out. However, at this point we've lost like probably most of the fluid that's in there.
Squeeze the lever when I wasn't supposed to, yeah.
You can also do a gravity bleed, where you essentially let things go out and down, but for some reason that's not what we're doing right now.
Well, the majority of your bubbles are going to be up here, right? So instead of having to flush all the bubbles all the way through, you might as well just push the bubbles that are at the top out.
Doctors, bike doctors.
I don't actually really know how to do this, but I'm gonna guess and tell you what to do. And then Macky will start yelling. Okay, so the first step, we're gonna take that and undo this bolt. All right, and when you get that out, you can just take that and put that in this. You're gonna take that and screw that in there carefully, because you can strip those plastic threads on the bottom of that kind of easily.
So you don't want to loosen it yet.
Okay.
You want to put it on there so it's ready to loosen.
Bike doctor.
I'm just gonna hold this there because we're
Plenty.
not wearing glasses, which probably wouldn't be a terrible idea to wear glasses for this particular
I'm gonna
activity.
do the doctor thing.
Yeah, the goal is no bubbles.
Now you're just losing this bolt.
Loosen it. How much?
Quarter turn.
That's the right direction, right?
Righty,
That's correct.
tighty, lefty, yep. Ooh. That didn't sound good, not gonna lie. Is it loosening? Oh yeah, it's loose. Okay.
That's enough. Okay, and then I syringe it. We have an outlet, we have an inlet. I'm just putting the goop through the thing.
I'm still holding this here because I feel,
Scared that it's gonna splurt everywhere.
is that working at all? Oh my God, that looks terrible. Is that as black as I think it is? I'm glad we're doing this all the way.
Okay, so, and I should stop when we get red stuff?
You should stop now.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'm
You're
gonna
right, because we don't
tighten
want
it
to
again.
accidentally. Yep. Then we're gonna hold this up not swing it around. Wow, that is foul.
So why does it turn black? What's that about?
It's dirt in the line.
Oh.
You put that in. Is that in? I can't see it. It's so dark, I can't see the bottom. So I don't know if it's in or not. You just pull that off.
Find out if it's in real quick. Hey, legend. This is fun. Why don't you like bleeding brakes?
I like doing lever bleeds. I'm just gonna hold this like that because you try not to get this stuff everywhere because it makes everything slimy. Feels pretty good actually. All right, you wanna talk me through doing the other one?
Welcome to Bowden Fixes Bikes. My name's Bowden, Mackie's on the camera. I'm gonna teach you all, you viewers, how to syringe bleed a lever from the Excalibur. And we're just gonna put this nice and kind of level like that. I'm gonna take off this little cap. Cool, now I'm taking this weird little cup thing, putting that right in there. Put that piece there, and then we're coming down here. And we are finding the little nubbin. That's right here. This is where the nubbin is. We are going to take our mineral oil, which, is that just hydraulic fluid? No one knows.
It is a type of hydraulic fluid. Do you know what hydraulic fluid is?
It's fluid that resists compression in some kind of way.
Jeez, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hydraulic stuff's crazy.
Is that a thing you learn with plumbing?
I don't know where I learned that.
All right, we're taking this out, even though Bo forgot about that.
Yeah, that's my bad. Go follow Syd Fixes Bike. Don't follow Bowden Fixes Bikes. All right, I'm unscrewing this. Is that the right direction? Nope, it's this direction. Okay, we're just unscrewing it a quarter turn. And then we are putting in the mineral oil. It's not going in and it's scaring me.
If it's not going in, you loosen a little more.
No, it's coming up. It's not nearly as bad, actually. There's a lot of bubbles, though.
Okay, we're running out of fluid.
All right, that would stop then.
That's another lesson. Don't stand under the blade.
There you go.
Oh, so breaky. Syd's doing pull-ups while I change out the valve core. Valve core, which is this thing, I think. And you use this tool, I think. Why do you need to change these out?
They get gonky.
From the sealant.
Sealant, correct. Go ahead and pull that tire off. There's some tire levers up there if you need it.
Some of you may have seen Macky's famous how to blow up a tubeless tire from like 2009 or 5 or something like that. I filmed it. How the turntables turn.
First, break the bead all the way around. So like give it a good, no, not with the tire lever, just with your hands.
Like this?
Yeah, except harder.
Yeah, that liner's tough.
Do you want to start with the front one?
So it'll actually pop once you release it.
Oh wow, so I haven't broken the seal on any of those. Oh my god.
There it is.
Why did they make the shift from tubes to tubeless? Less flats.
A lot less flats. And you can run lower pressures and still not get as many flats.
Gives you better traction.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Now use the tire levers.
One particular side or the other? We don't know. And I just pull it off. Go. When do you have to get rid of tires?
You should show him my e-bike tire when it looks like what my tire on my e-bike looks like.
This is an excellent time to replace a tire.
Oh yeah, okay. That's all smooth. Yeah. Or when you like have a big hole in it.
Yeah, whichever happens first. What you might notice is you're like, wow, my brakes aren't slowing me down as much as I think they are. That's a good time to check your rear tire. It might be your brakes, but you might also just have no braking knobs left on your tire.
Yeah. How often does a tire rip, get a flat, blow up?
Depends on how you ride, where you ride, and how lucky you are. Can you tell which way it should be going?
I know this one. Tires make a little arrow that points forward. Bloop, bloop. Which, figuring out which way this forward is a whole other question. Like this. Okay, putting that on. Cool, then what do I do? What goes into the choices that you make in terms of what sealant to use?
Well, this is here, and the other one's in the van. Some sealants are more long-lasting, but slightly less effective.
Okay.
We're giving you the more long-lasting one. Probably not use a tire lever if you can avoid it. So now that you're here, just basically turn it here and then give it a good pull. So if it doesn't go, you can scooch all the way around doing this and pulling everybody into the center. Because if it's on the bead down here, that might make it harder to get on, but I actually think you're gonna get it.
Okay, I'm pulling it into the middle. You guys change your tires all the time. What about normal people?
Some people go like years with the same set of tires and let their sealant completely dry out and then wonder why their tires go flat. So what you want to pay attention to is if you don't ride your bike for like a week, I don't think you'll do that. But if it were to happen and you come back and your tires are totally flat, it probably means you need to re-up on the sealant. You can pop off the tire. Also, some of the time you can just add it in via the valve stem, which is what we're about to do. But I think first we will blow it up.
So I'm me, and I don't have access to you guys. I'm using all your tools. It would be good for me to have one of these so I can add sealant and have sealant on me.
You'll probably be okay for quite a bit with this, like a couple months for sure. Cool. But since we are going into winter, like that's probably something you'll need to do next spring.
I think that's one of my biggest concerns is like having this bike, making sure the tires stay on it.
You have a floor pump.
No.
You should get a floor pump. As you know from that video that you and Macky made in 2005.
I actually don't remember it very well, but yeah.
There is a trick. Well, we've made an updated version since, which will be linked in the corner of the video. So this is just the way to get the most air out of the air compressor to blow the bead on. So you're gonna put that there, you're gonna fire it up, and hopefully it'll go and we won't have to do any shenanigans, but sometimes you do anyway.
All right. And it's just gonna blow up.
Hopefully.
I'm scared. Right. Thought it was gonna blow up. I was scared.
We didn't get the bead all the way. See
so I
where
gotta keep
it goes
going?
in? Yeah.
Is it gonna explode on me? Is it done?
The way you can tell is looking if this basically goes all the way around or if there's spots. I think you're good. So you can actually let all that air out, but the bead will stay on while we do this. So this little container is a valve core remover thing. So you don't need to get like a fancy one. So the way we're gonna do this is like that.
Upright or not?
Well, upright to start, put it on, and now hold that. Flip it over and put half of what's in that bottle. See, there's a thing you can see. Put about half in.
I'm gonna call that half.
Go ahead and blow it back up like that, and then...
And then add the thing?
Yeah, that's more fun.
When do I stop?
You can stop.
Messed up. I know you guys like this is some sick game. Well, I could just screw it on my hand first, right?
Yeah.
How much did I tighten it?
Just like finger tight.
Okay.
All right, now you can put the front wheel on.
Sick.
On the fiddly side. Wow. I'm actually really impressed that that's centered.
I don't really know what that means, but me too. Don't give it to me. Ew. Rim jibber. Okay, how do I do this?
That's pretty good.
Oh. Wow.
You didn't do the sealant dance.
Oh, I remember the sealant dance.
So they might be flat like tomorrow morning. So basically you should go ride your bike tomorrow.
I'm gonna do the sealant dance.
Cool, let's put the chain on and then we will worry about the brake. This is a good thing to learn how to do, which is called a quick link. This is a good thing to be carrying in your toolkit, is one of these. So if you break a chain, you can reconnect it basically the way that we're gonna do it. Letters and numbers out. Do you remember how a chain goes through the derailleur?
Put it on that one. It goes like that. Like a little S.
I think he did it right, except is it supposed to be on the top of this one? Yeah, it's gotta go through there.
Around the tree, over the waterfall, through the mill, back to the road.
Exactly. Pull on your right hand a bit so that you have, like, you're not doing this under the crank. The arrow is going forward at the top, so if you're doing it on the bottom like this, the arrow needs to be going backwards. Nice. Okay, so generally what we would, once you get it to that point, you would have the bike off and have the pedal on, and I realize you can't really do it without the pedal, so we'll just use, you grab us the tool. The connect side, so put it basically like that.
Oh, so satisfying.
And then you have a chain. Okay.
You basically just want the chain to clear.
How does that look from your angle?
Go down quite a bit.
Oh, the top.
Yeah. Looks pretty good to me.
Anytime your rotor is doing a little sound, it's off center.
Sometimes the rotor is bent, but usually, especially if it's like all the way around, and sometimes centering it, even if it is slightly bent, will help. Okay. So what you're gonna do is loosen those bolts, not like all the way off, but to the point where the Excalibur moves back and forth. So spin it and then pull it hard and hold it. Okay, and now you're gonna keep holding it. I can hold it for you.
And then I just tighten it up.
Since this is bulk cable, we're gonna run it through and get the right length. Okay, that's probably too far. So basically you just wanna, first of all, you wanna get that inside of that. You want this to be as short as it can be while still allowing you to crash and do this without pulling the cable out. So you want to be able to go into that, kind of like that-ish. So not super tight.
And then, okay, and then it ends there.
Yeah.
And I just plop it in there.
Yep. That other feral on there.
Feral?
Yeah. Like a feral cat. Yeah. Except not spelled like that at all. Okay, so now you're gonna start the cable in the shifter, which I'm gonna have to think about for a second. Which gear do you wanna be in?
I'm in the highest.
The highest, right? Okay, so we're good.
A little plastic thing, interesting.
I feel like that wasn't right. Oh, because it doesn't matter where the chain is, because it's not attached to the shifter. No, that's fine. Ah, there we go.
See it? And then I just put this through there.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Then I put it through the
Yeah,
ferrule.
you may have to, I think that should just go straight through, but if not, you can do the ferrule separately.
Fun. Oh yeah, look at that.
Okay, so that's all fine and good, except it's probably not gonna shift very well. Well, basically there's like several different things that control how the derailleur works. One is how tight the cable is. The other is high limit and one is your low limit. Basically when you're in this, on this side of this cassette, you want this screw to be touching. And when you're on the opposite side, you want the other to be touching.
Oh yeah.
And if it's off either way, then that's a good way for your chain to either fall off to the inside or not be able to like get to your biggest gear, if that makes sense. So for tightening the cable, you can either do it basically by pulling this through tighter or by using the barrel adjuster up here. I'm pretty sure the B index has to do with like how high or low like this whole kit and caboodle is. Unscrewing.
It went like this.
I think there's a mark on it, but I couldn't find it.
51T there.
Okay, so the 51 tooth is the outermost.
So Syd, is it the top of the tooth that should be at the mark?
Yes.
Okay. I'd say that's pretty good. So you said about 1.25 inches here. Boop.
And then you put this little guy on, and then you squish him with the squisher.
Squish him. Oh,
And then
I might have squished him too
I
hard.
think it might have been fine, but then you pulled it off.
Do we have another squisher?
It's gonna be annoying to get it on because now it's all frayed.
The lesson is don't over squish the squisher.
I guess the other lesson might be if you're gonna do this, cut your cable a little long.
Yeah. And then I do a light squish.
Yep.
Squish. Squish it in. So let's just say I'm riding and I'm like, my derailleur's doing some weird stuff. It's not shifting exactly as I want it to shift. What do I do?
Generally, you need to essentially tighten the cable because unless you've been messing with this or someone's been messing with it, it generally gets like looser over time. The way you tighten this is you actually are loosening this screwing part because as this backs out, it makes the path of housing longer, which stretches the cable. See, he just figured that out in like 2 seconds and it took me 10 years.
So you're unscrewing it to tighten it.
Yes, unscrewing this to tighten the cable. We shifted down 5 gears from the top. So then we are going to unscrew this, Macky said, until it's clicking.
That's a click.
Okay, and then I go back, what?
5 spots. Like, let Bo feel it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It is no longer ticking in this gear, which is good. Bo is gonna wanna go up to the top and go down 2, up 1, down 2, up 1, and see what happens.
So once again, if I'm riding, it's doing some weird stuff, it's like clicking or it's shifting without me intending it to, I should use my barrel adjuster and I should kind of just eyeball it.
Yeah, I mean, you can even do it while you're riding. Like you can tighten it a rotation and see if that fixes it. Cool, so I think the last thing is the dropper post.
Oh my God, so light, wow, okay.
This is the old cable housing, which is nice because that saves us a step and that we can cut the housing to the same length.
Okay, I'm gonna go right there. Wait, the dropper seats are cables? That's crazy. I thought they were hydraulic. How does that work?
The hydraulic ones, in my experience, are extremely annoying.
Does it have a spring inside or does it have some liquid?
I don't know. I think there is a hydraulic component in there, but it's not the actuation. You want to poke it?
Yep, poked it real good.
Well, it's going somewhere.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at that.
All right, so this comes back out. And now...
More olives and no.
No. So basically, this is your actuation. So when it's pushed like that or pulled like that, yeah, it's like it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
But the concept is this little guy and your cable goes through him and he sits there. And that means when the cable is pulled, pulls that whole thingamajig down. So if you want to push there, we'll string that in. Cool.
Clean.
Yeah. It's sort of a pain to do by yourself, but it's pretty easy with 2 people. This is carbon prep, so whenever you're putting something into carbon, you put this on and it's kind of gritty. I'm not super clear on what it does exactly, but I think it prevents it from like basically seizing. It's like grease, but for carbon.
It also makes it less likely to slide.
Right, and sliding is bad for your carbon. Yeah, that looks pretty good. There's a bolt, which I can't remember what size it is, but it's probably a 4. You want to start with your barrel adjuster screwed all the way in so that you can screw it out later.
Syd was just saying if you over tighten your dropper posts, this little thing right here, seat clamp, then it can mean your dropper post doesn't work because it's like compressing the little air tube in there.
Or it goes really slow. It's like... There, hey, that's pretty good.
Thing, it's called a nubbin.
It's called a cable end.
It's called a cable end. Caleb the Caleb end. Okay, cool. Oh my gosh, dude. We are almost done.
All right, pedals, they're different. right and left. Basically, here's the way to remember it, is they both thread in the way that your wheels turn.
This one should thread in this direction,
generally-
which that one is not.
See, this is where the plumbing comes in handy because I've never been able to tell by looking at it.
See if I'm right though. This is really it's spicy.
So what are you not doing right now?
I'm not threading the direction that my wheels spin.
Here are grips, and then this will go in the end, but you can tighten those up first. So the last couple things we're gonna do for Bo is we'll check the seat height to make sure it's right. We'll set the sag to the 30% line on this. Set up the fork by Fox's specifications for his weight. And then you have a new bike.
So stoked. I'm so stoked. Yeah. The thing I want to tell everyone most of all is if you have siblings of any age, old or younger, you need to encourage them to become professional athletes and encourage them to marry people that are professional athletes. And you might think, I'm gonna feel bad, I'm gonna be jealous, I'm gonna be insecure. Don't think about it like that. There's so much that you get to gain being a sibling of a professional athlete, really. Buy them their first bike, take them rock climbing for the first time. Whatever you need to do, make sure your siblings become professional athletes. All right, there you go, that's it. That's the thing is, yeah.
I think that's a wrap.